continuing where I left off because we're gonna do the whole thing.
A figure in a pale cloak.
The group stared out into the darkness. Hector shifted. His eyes betrayed the fear he hid from his face. Fuck. Hector shifted. His eyes betrayed the fear he hid. God damn it! Hector shifted. His eyes betrayed the fear he hid from his face. He drew his strange sword and offered to Prude. She took it without a word.
We move.
Oh, what about the mud?
We will have to deal with it.
You can't be serious.
Elfnod took in a deep breath, and a small burst of white wrung out from his body. Ash's fatigue faded slightly.
Wow, already learning to heal?
It's not much, but it'll help us last the night.
I wish I had a dead horse.
With that, the group began to march, the dry patch quickly growing thick with mud behind them. The sun had crawled high into the sky. The ground was still thick with mud, but their feet no longer sank so deeply.
I think we should have brought food.
There are a few meals in my backpack.
When were you going to share that information?
When I felt safe again.
Hector, we aren't all as capable as you in the regard of stamina. We need a break.
Hector turned to Prude, who nodded. Taking stock of herself, Ash was surprised to find she was far less tired than she should be. Had Elfnod been assisting her through the night? Judging by the ragged nature of both him and his pair, she doubted. She dare not say it, but the pursuant gray mage may be responsible for her vigor. Ash felt a hint of pride that the thought did not send a shiver down her spine. She was getting better at suppressing those. Hector retrieved a number of cat pictures, clearly stolen from the cafeteria, and began to offer them around.
The stew from yesterday. When did you get this?
The young cook who watched the ritual gave them to me. I suppose he was as aware as anyone else as to the events that were about to transpire.
Ash raised her eyebrows.
Hey, speaking of transpiring, what happened last night? What's so scary about someone in a pale cloak?
Belinda? That's the traditional garb of a gray mage.
Belinda's eyes darted the way they came, and she slowly took a draw from her pitcher.
We made enough tracks that a blind child could follow us.
Hiding won't work on a grey mage. They can sense magic in much the way the Rod of Finding can.
That's why we were so keen to run, Belinda.
Then why did you stop?
Belinda took a long draw from her pitcher and offered it back to Hector as she stood up.
Let's go!
The rest of the group emulated the gesture.
We need to move quickly.
Why is a gray mage interested in us?
Because it's after me.
I'm gonna save one more time because there's one part I kind of fucked up. And it should have looked evil. And I'm like, I'm not trying to do an evil run. I'm trying to do be mad at me run. No. Not tonight. Silence fell across the group.
I agree.
Another silence echoed. Nothing?
Wait, why would...
My mark. There's a chance that I am paired to a gray mage.
The silence continued, deafening. The sun had begun to crawl skywards before they stopped again. Prue raised one hand, the group halting at the command, too exhausted to question it. Placing a finger to her lips, she gestured for silence. The group quickly made to rest. Belinda removed her shoes to find raw, blooded feet. The rest of the group, for better, almost at least marginally calloused, though Ash's feet was still cracked and red and cracked. Dang, I did that backwards.
Owie.
Belinda grew silent with a single look from Prude. When had she assumed such command of their group? Ah! Hector cocked his head, turning silently towards Prude, who pressed her ears to the earth. A moment passed.
Hoof beats?
There!
Following Efnot's finger, Ash saw a small force of mountain infantry in the distance. Above them flew a black flag with intricate white patterns.
Mom?
How would your mother know that we were here?
Oh, I asked a friend to send a messenger bird on the way out. I didn't want to walk the entire distance.
Belinda! I could kiss you!
Belinda flushed and spoke under her breath.
No complaints here. Please do.
The man missed the comment in an Ash grimace that would definitely not end well. The others appeared to have missed that comment as well, as they raised their voices and waved.
Belinda, do you have a moment?
Ash gently pulled Belinda away from the group.
Yes?
She hesitated for a moment, but finally mustered the words.
I just wanted to warn you. I don't think Elfnot is interested in you.
Don't worry. I have my ways.
Belinda heaved her chest suggestively. Yes! Like bitches on it.
I don't think they're the right ways.
I appreciate your concern, but I am fine.
Ash stared at her for a moment before she caught back with the group. Back up, back up.
They must have been riding full tilt since the other day, even through that rain.
Let us pray they might continue that pace. We need a way to ensure we can escape that damnable Grey Mage.
Turning behind, Hector threw both hands in the air in an obscene gesture towards the empty plains behind them.
Find us now, shit slingers!
I'm dying. I'm sorry. Like, I need to have this as my ringtone. Just like, if someone I don't like, find us now, shit slingers.
Oh, I like that one.
Finally learning curses?
It's what Mother would want.
The cavalry seemed to spot them and course corrected towards their band. The group seemed to breathe a collective sigh, and removing their minimum provisions, they finished off now the ice-cold cold. The Mud Skipper's Inn had always been considered quaint and simple. While the beer was well stocked and beds warm, it would never be considered appropriate for royalty. When the royal guard arrived with the Princess of Celeste and her entourage, the innkeeper found himself debating the merits of asking them to leave simply because he lacked appropriate accommodations. Upon actually seeing the disheveled, muddy heap of a princess, he reconsidered and wondered what conditions she might have suffered before now.
And make sure that you have all the men housed inside. Sleep in the cellar if you need to. The sky looks foul above us.
But make sure to have 2 guards on duty at all times, with frequent turnovers. We may be hunted, and after only a day's travel, I would not question if the Grey Mage could still catch us.
Yes, milady. Yes, my lord.
I'm not a lord.
Hector made to follow the guard and correct him, but Prude placed her hand on his shoulder.
You are. You're married to a lady. Precedent is that you are now a lord.
What hell is frozen that Hector is now a lord?
Aren't you the son of a king or something, Elfnod? Does that mean I'm a princess?
No, my father is an elected official.
What does that make you?
Nothing at all.
Belinda looked disappointed at that. The group settled quickly, retreating into a familiar efficiency. Before long, they were bathed and groomed, meeting once more in the center of the inn, where the innkeeper was quick to have his son serve them. An odd, knowing glance fired between them, Elfnod and the younger man, entirely missed by Belinda, despite the fact she did not take her eyes off him once. Warm bread and tall glasses of mead slowly filling their bellies left the group in a particularly chippier mood.
Throwing you out of school won't mean war or anything, correct?
Hardly. There's an unfortunately large amount of precedent for expelling princesses.
Milady, the king asked that we send a message back upon your arrival to a safe place. Would you be so kind as to write something for her?
Of course. I'll be right back.
Prude walked away, and Hector turned to Ash.
Are you a lady, Veronica?
No. My mother was a servant, and shortly after I turned 3, I became the princess's playmate. And don't call me that.
What is Prude's father like?
I never knew. He died before she was even born.
Ah, then the queen remarried?
No. The king is Prude's mother.
So the king was once a woman?
No, she's still a woman.
So it's a title then?
Yes, exactly.
Then would that make Prudence a prince? And would it, under the circumstances that we were to wed, make me a princess?
I don't think that's quite how it works.
Princess Hector! I think it suits you better than the title of head.
I agree. I look forward to the marriage.
Hector did not respond, instead retreating into the thought. Before any further jokes could be had at his expense, Prude returned. She looked to her pair, still deep in thought.
Oh no, what did you get into his head?
Prudence, I am afraid I cannot marry you. While I do not mind being a princess, I simply cannot handle any excess of pink. And
What?
While I do not mind being a princess, I simply cannot handle any excess of pink. And I find dresses far too restrictive of movement.
What?
Hector opened his mouth to explain, but Prude interrupted him with a finger to his lip. She kissed him on the forehead and sat across his lap.
Don't try to explain. I prefer to keep your inner workings a mystery.
Ash felt a twang of jealousy as the two grew close, but for once it was not specific to a lust for Prude. It was the fact that she was sitting so close to a happy couple. Jealousy pulled at her heart. But Linda elbowed Ash and beckoned for her to lean down, where she whispered into Ash's ear.
I found the prettiest princess on top of a pile of his books in the library the other day.
Ash raised her eyebrows. That would explain a few things. Belinda hiccuped and then smiled at her before turning back to the conversation.
I think I need to step away for a moment.
In unison, the courtlet raised their mugs in a sort of mock salute as she departed, the motion almost toppling Belinda, who had ingested a fair bit more than the others. Some call alcohol liquid courage. Ash hoped Belinda did not find enough to make a fool of herself to Elfnod. Ash led herself out the front door and watched her breath curl outwards in a white fog as she let out a sigh. The night was far colder than the last two that had followed them here. Fortune had favored them that they could find shelter from the chill. Ash's eyes turned upwards, towards the dancing snowflakes fluttering like a sea of shooting stars in the reflection of the inn's lamps.
Beautiful.
Dang it, I forgot to pause it. Damn. She spent a time in night silence, appreciating the beauty, when the significance of the world around her finally dawned. Silence. Silence. Given the number of men that were with them, and the fact they should still be busy stabling horses, the silence was an anomaly. A horse, still in its saddle, began to walk slowly past, dipping down to chew at a patch of the sparse vegetation. In the distance, she saw a figure in a pale cloak.
No.
Fear had held her still for a moment, before the hot blood of panic drove her to move. Running back inside, Ash found her companions asleep in the den of the inn, nestling in a motley assortment about the furniture which surrounded the hearth. The warmth struck her with a wave of exhaustion. The cold had edged back. She did not let it consume her.
Wake up. Wake up.
Hector and Prue were on their feet with a swift and practiced ease, both in battle stances, and Hector's left hand in knot of black energy. Whoop! Efnot fell out of the seat, with Belinda falling shortly after.
The Grey Mage found us. The guards are gone.
Nonsense, the men are just...
He paused as he cocked his head. Could he hear the silence from in here? Hadn't he noticed the hoofbeats from earlier? She quashed that thought as he reached for his pack, still at his side.
We need to get to the horses.
They should be in the stables. We must move quickly.
The guard opened the door, keeled over, and a blackened ooze began to pour from his open mouth. Hector drew from his sword, handing his pack to Prudence.
Run! I will hold it off.
Like hell you will.
Ash did not even give Hector a chance to register his words, grabbing his cloak from behind and dragging him past her. She freed the sword from his hand in a swift flourish and hefted. The balance was perfect. It was light and suited her. She couldn't help but wonder for a heartbeat why Heck would have a sword like this.
Ash!
No. This is my demon to face. This is my battle to fight. Take Prude and get out of here.
Ash turned away from him.
Keep her safe.
The doorway filled with the silhouette of a pale tan cloak. Ash aimed the blade towards the mage's neck.
Go.
She heard the footsteps faded quickly as they escaped. Slowly, with a practice. This is practice. That's practice. I said shit wrong. Damn. I gotta get better at this. Slowly, with a practice ease, the Grey Mage threw back its hood. A face stained black by necrosis, though still as animate as a living man's, met her gaze with white glazed eyes. The man stared.
Hello, girl.
His eyes flickered to her blade, and his sneer seized her.
Do you know what it is you hold?
Admittedly, not in any particular sense. Obviously, it's a sword.
A sword, she says. Does she not know what she holds, Harla? No, of course she wouldn't.
A shiver ran down Ash's spine, and for once she did not struggle to suppress it.
Yeah, I'm going to assume Arla is your pair whose organs you stole.
Stole? No. We became as one.
Ash really did not want to hear this. She drove forward, concentrating all her effort into driving the blade home. Inside, she felt a burst of fire. Oh, dang it! Fuck it. Inside her felt a fire burst to life, and all at once she felt as light as the air itself. The distance between them was gone in a heartbeat, and the blade tore the air directly beside the Grey Mage. She had missed, her balance thrown off by her long dress. Cut the shit.
Light and shadow.
She didn't let him finish the sentence, bringing her blade down hard.
Yeah!
Ash felt flesh tear as the Grey Mage lit back, his milky eyes wide. If the mage had more than a moment to recover, the gap in their power would become apparent. She pulled back for another swing when she noticed the knot of black arching towards her. Desperately, Ash flung herself, trying to evade. The black bolt struck her on the side of her throat, and she began to choke. Wiki, what the the fuck, cat. Weakness took her, and her grip gave out, the blade clattering to the ground. She grasped, but for her breath found no purchase.
Impressive. I hadn't imagined the sword would give you access to both pools.
His words meant nothing as she clawed at her own throat, desperate for air. He loomed over her.
A beautiful specimen. It is unfortunate you are already paired. I could use a heart as strong as yours.
Somehow, amidst it all, she looked at his hands. His mark was twisted, so abstract she could not tell its shape. This was not her pair. A weight lifted from her, and she tore out the tiniest gasp.
Strange you should seem so revulsed by a gray mage when you travel with one.
But I know his story, so I don't give a fuck. Hector was a Grey Mage. She had been right, but how? Why? Prude? Her hands closed around the hilt. When had she even begun to grasp for it? Her next move was more swift than her adult mind could begin to follow. The blade dashed through his neck, his jaw, up through his skull, and out the top as easily as the sword in the soft muck of the training field. The Grey Mage stood for a moment as though unsure. He conversed, then collapsed.
Did I just win?
The response was immediate.
You little bitch!
The creature surged forward, grabbing the blade from her blade and wrenching it free, a black ichor licking from the wound she had dealt.
Ah!
Ash desperately groped for a weapon. Anything! Fuck, all she found was one of her roses, still fresh. Its black petals a stain of dark on the already poorly lit room. She breathed in the smell, searching for strength. And to her surprise, she found it. Something seemed to catch fire in her chest, a burning sensation that boiled in her lungs. With a cough, she let it out. Inky blackness erupted from her mouth, curling like a plant sprouting with impossible speed. The growth engulfed the gray mage, and then it flowered. The gray mage's scream was brief before the dark, flower-like flames did their work. Dissolving, the creature slumped to its knees, little more than charred lumps remaining of its extremities. She stared at the body. The full realization of what she had done dawned upon her. Nigga, I killed somebody. Holy shit, I killed somebody. Buckling over, she erupted with the recent banquet she had eaten. A moment of relief, and she retched again. Hector, Prude! With effort, she found her feet. Ash exploded out the front door, staring out into the silent white night. Hoofprints were being lost in the falling snow, leaning away from the stables, leading to Celeste.
They escaped. Thank the goddess.
Thank the goddess till the next video.